Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. Hurrah! What's going on there, Internet land? Another week here at the field op, and we're just hanging out, shaking and grooving. This week I'm traveling a little bit, and I'm in my home here in Texas. I know right now that it says Combat Vet Vision, and by all means, go ahead and watch that podcast as we're going on today and on the field op. So, but before we get started, we talk about usually about this is the Second Amendment. We also talk about freedom of speech and all that good stuff. But if you don't like what you're listening to today, just be sure to swipe left, go on somewhere else. But if you like what you're about to hear, then by all means, let's get started. So today's topic, we're going to talk about leadership versus likership, and one of the things is that here in the private sector, as a retiree, one of the things that people want to be led. People always look for really good things, or leaders and mentors as well. And we've all dealt, even in the military, we've dealt with good leaders. We've dealt with bad leaders. So, a lot of the times, we get into this groove where we think, because we know better, that I've been in the Marine Corps, I was in the Air Force, Army, whatever the case may be, and we get into a private sector position where for all intents and purposes, these people don't know how to lead. I mean, they do what they think they do is the best, but nonetheless, it's a lot different, and so it's a struggle to deal with these things as we're moving along. And sometimes it gets us in trouble. A lot of us tend to we get into this pattern of getting into arguments with our bosses because it's too tough for us to swallow that pill sometimes. And because although we know better and we've led other people much better, we just have to be able to take a back seat and let those folks over in the private sector do their thing. And whenever it's your chance to jump on the hot seat, then by all means, go ahead. This week I was kind of thinking of a story. When I was in Iraq, we took one of the first in 50 years, we took a reserve unit to combat 4th LAR. So shout out to all my folks over there at 4th LAR, John Mestes, and everybody else, Motor T Platoon. But one of the trips out there is we were doing a convoy. One of our LAVs, which is a lot more vehicle, it's a personnel carrier. We were having issues with it, and I was on. John Mestes was one of the convoy commanders, and we kept telling the captain, "Hey, just leave this thing here, leave it behind." We told them, "Hey, just leave it behind." But somebody else said, "No, I think we can tow it. We can tow the vehicle." And hang on just a second, everybody. It's just I got some people over here as well doing some work. So, but anyways. We kept telling the captain, "Hey, just go ahead and leave the vehicle behind. We're just gonna go ahead and we got to keep pushing forward to Iraq." Anyways, it wasn't me back then. I was enlisted. It wouldn't have been my best call to say, "Hey, let's just go ahead and take it." But the captain at the time, he said, "Hey, we're just gonna go ahead and do it. We're gonna tow it with this piece of equipment." Which again, when we're towing vehicles, you have two different variants. So you got to tow with, if I'm towing a tank, I'm going to tow it with a tank. If I'm towing a truck, I'm going to tow it with a truck. You just can't mismatch them. But the individual made a call on the spot, good or bad or indifferent. He made that call. Along the way, the vehicle ended up rolling, and basically we ended up losing that light armor vehicle, and we had to torch it. Basically, we had to get incinerate grenades, throw them on the thing, and leave it there as it said. Luckily, nobody was injured. I did tell the captain that I was going to write a report on him for his bad call. I don't know what happened to the cat, but we just have to be, so it got me thinking this week about, in those leadership positions, he held himself accountable. He made a call. Maybe it was a bad one, but nonetheless, he was ready to prepare to take on whatever the repercussions may be. So that's basically what was done. So I was thinking about that. Hey, that would be a good topic to talk about today, just leadership versus likership. But in addition to that, along the way, I ran into a friend of mine. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. His name is Claudio Brown. Claudio is also former Air Force. I'm going to go ahead and scoot over a little bit for him. Hey, Claudio, what's going on, man?
Hello out there. How are y'all? Good, doing well, sir.
Yeah. So tell them a little bit about yourself.
Born and raised here, but ended up going to the military when I was younger. Ended up getting a job MWR, and I was training. I was doing the physical fitness preparation for the pilots, for the incoming pilots, whether they be Marine, Navy, Air Force. They all came through at that time Williams Air Force Base. So I ended up with that job to do, and I don't know if he's still alive. He ended up being captain of Thunderbirds. Casey, if you're out there, it's been a long time. But we learned a lot and had to deal with, and especially those younger guys, they had to deal with. It was almost like a redo in a serious way, and I liken it to this Top Gun, to where those guys had ideas, but those older guys that were training them and that had been in combat, that had flown those F-16s. Back then it was F-16s, and those guys thought they had good ideas. One of the spots right across from the gym was a mountain that they used in training, and the guys had to fly at it and elevate and go over it. Well, I remember 2 times where we were out there exercising, going through our things, and they'd always stop when the guys would do that, look and cheer them when they, made it over. Well, a couple of times they did not, and they crashed, which meant that, death in their family. And then most of them were just married, maybe had young kids. I think that was a sobering reality of what they were doing. And when that would happen, they tended to listen to those older guys just a little bit more, so that was one of the examples that I had, of what Pacho was just got through talking about, where they had to decide whether, to reconcile their ideas, and most of them, those guys were educated and they were smart, and they were good at what they did, or they wouldn't have been there. And but they had to also yield to that war tested, battle tested experience that head leader was trying to drill in them. So that was one of the starkest examples, I think, that I remember from my time.
Yeah, one of the things, and we were talking about this a little bit today, is being able to, when you got to make the call and also be able to own that decision, whether it's good or bad. I mean, I remember, towards as I was one part of the staff right there at 11th Marines in the Marine Corps. I mean, you have your plan. You're making all these plans for these field exercises or even deployments and such. You're putting these individuals. I mean, even in an extra, I mean, there's a level of danger that everything has. I mean, because you train like you fight.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the things that we used to instill all the time. And you also got to take in consideration, hey, I'm sending these kids to this training, or I'm sending these people to deployment, and someone may or may never come back. So, those are the things that you got to take into accountability, when you're in the service, but also here in the private sector too. I mean, whether you're a police officer, a fire department, or even having your own company like yourself. Yes. I mean, you got to be able to make those decisions and inform your clients and such of, hey, what's going on? Well, this is the reason why, and give them the why and such. Mm-hmm. So, what is it? So you did your time in the Air Force. So now can you tell the audience what is that you do now? Tell us about your company and the things that you do.
Well, I'm a design engineer. I went to school for engineering. I was going to go for petroleum engineering, but I've been building all my life, and so I'm a design engineer now, an architectural designer. I just had a situation just where I'm not quite ready to totally sit down in the office yet. So I'm kind of back out in the field doing a lot of custom work, and thus I met Pacho, and needing exactly what I was really wanting to do. My company's called HGI, and I'm out of Abilene, Texas. Email address is hgidesign41@gmail. I'm also a licensed and authorized Murphy bed installer distributor from Murphy bed. People out of Canada. A lot of people got small spaces, can't afford to expand or do bigger things, so they want to maximize the space they have in the little spaces that they have, rooms, because the bed takes up most of your room. I do things a little bit different. I make it out of furniture, wood. If you want red oak look, you get red oak. You want walnut, I do it out of walnut. And they're very beautiful, easy to maintain, not difficult to install and keep. And when they're up, they look like a bookshelf or whatever you decide to do. Got into this very young. I started building furniture time I was 12. Learned a lot from my dad. I always laugh. I was 2 years into college, and Dad yanked me out, and I was mad. I was mad because I didn't understand what he was doing. Well, if anybody's out there in the construction business, whether you've been in military construction or civil engineering or whatever, or out in the private sector, you know that once you get that set of plans from the engineers and the architects, by the time you get through with that project, we've corrected their mistakes. So my dad told me, and along the way, we're calling them every name in the book, because we're wondering, well, why did they make this much money? And we're the ones really at the end of the job, we've given them, what they should have given us in the beginning. And so he told me so I got mad, and he told me, he said, you just don't want to be one of them. Of course, I heard that, but I was young, and I gave him holy heck for about 3-4 years. But then when I went back to school, I finished my degree in about 18 months. I finished 2.5 years in about 18 months. So I was walking down the aisle, graduating, and I was crying like a baby because I realized what he had done for me. And and I gave him a hug. I was crying. I said, "Oh," he said, "don't start crying now." I said, "Now it's time for you to take care of me."
Well, sometimes those things.
Right, but again, leadership. I did submit to it. I was a grown man, but I did submit to it, and didn't quite understand fully, because I was looking at the apple or the characters right in front of me, and he was looking at the long run of me being good at what I did, and instead of just being able to do it. and that stuck with me. That has stuck with me for the rest of my life. Hadn't always, made, and I think we all, as human beings, hadn't always made the best decisions in life. But one thing about in my business, I've always tried and to be excellent in all. And I'm learning in this leadership deal, even with he and I working together. I'm learning that your client, you have to really know them and understand them, because even in this project we're doing now, everything did not turn out and move like we wanted it when we wanted it.
Right.
And I had to try to communicate that. It's been a good working relationship because Pacho is a down there person, and and I think that our military, we just shoot straight. We can take it, and that's been a refreshing, kind of relationship, because most of the time I'm dealing with a person that has no idea what's going on in this business, how it's supposed to go on, or doesn't have the courage really to do what they're wanting done.
Right.
Because this business is not for the faint and the weak-hearted. So that being said, I'm a master woodworker. Claim to fame, I was a part owner of a company called Treasure Keepers in 1994. We did the Olympic boxes for the federal mint for the Olympic coins for the Atlanta Olympics in 1996. So that was my beginning. I was in my 30s then. I ain't gonna tell you how old I am now, but that was my beginning of being in the business big time. When I say big time, in a large, high volume scale. So I've been fortunate and blessed to work pretty much all over the country. And again, like I said, I'm an architectural designer, so I not only manufacture it, I can actually design it. I run various programs, Revit, Inventor, AutoCAD, and I'm proficient at it. And I use that as a tool to give my client visual illustration, which he can attest to.
Right.
We had it on paper before we built it, so he knew exactly what it was going to look like before we started, and I think that has become just a integral tool, that a vital tool that you can that helps, especially the client.
But getting back to okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thanks for the long answer. Oh shit. No, but getting back to the leadership piece.
Yes.
There's difference. There's leadership. There's leadership and likership. I was leaving this when we were entering Camp Al-Assad, I think. It's like 2008. I mean, a while back. But I saw, I saw a sign. I would say it's leadership, not likership. And I think what they meant by that is, sometimes it's lonely at the top. So it's those of us who stand. Sometimes being a leader means lonely at the top. So you got to make some difficult calls, or even separate yourself from the crowd, saying, hey, you know what? Today I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go and hang out with you guys. Or you guys have been drinking. You're driving now. You know what? I'll take an Uber. I'm going to go ahead. Because shit can happen. So that's likership, where there's those people. I mean, and I've seen it a lot, even in the military, where now I'm a corporal, or now I'm in charge. I'm not going to say it because I don't want anybody to be mad at me and that type of stuff. I mean, right. In your line of work, I mean, what do you encounter that? I mean, how do you deal with that?
Well, absolutely. One thing is, and I took this from the Godfather movie, when the lawyer went to talk to the Hollywood executive. He said, my boss wants to know bad news immediately. And that stuck with me. Nothing in life, or especially in construction job, or a lot, and this goes in any other business, goes exactly as scripted. So, and that goes back to not for the faint or the weak-hearted. You have to be able to relay the bad news whether it's your fault or not. And in this business, if I'm relaying not good news, it's got something to do with me not being able to do what was asked of me, or something, and you have to be able to relate that, whether it's good or bad. Especially in this year of COVID, this last couple of years, I've dealt with things where we normally supplies, materials were readily available. That's not the case. So I had some expected finish dates that I could not keep. And in the past, the finish date is not the owner's problem, it's my problem. So I would do whatever I had to do, whatever pressure was on me to get that done. Well, in this age of COVID, there are supply problem, logistical problem, trucking, truckers not working. So I've had to take way more time to tell my clients, we got to wait. It's not going to go that way. And that's hard for a client, because a lot of times what they see is, I've got to entertain on Thanksgiving. I've got to entertain at Christmas. And especially in this age of COVID, I've had to tell them, well, you can use this part, but you can't use that part possibly. And that's been hard. You have to be able to to pick the poison sometimes. There's been times, even in this relationship with Pacho and I, where it's been business, not person, leadership, not likership. It's been some hard things said, because some things had to be done, but it wasn't a point to where it was anything against me or against him. We were able to verbally get those things communicated to each other. Each one understood. It may not have came, and I think we talked about this, and I learned this in the military, especially in Williams. It's not how the lion's roaring, it's what he's roaring. We might not always like how the roar is, especially in the military, because they were you get it that way. But even out here in the private sector, you were talking about earlier how bosses you get caught up with arguing because they're not making the right decision, or that what you've got in mind is better, not just because you thought it up, it's just better. And we have to learn how to jockey those situations.
Oh, how to shut the fuck up is basically what it all boils down to. I mean, this is freedom of speech land, man.
Okay, well,
you can what the fuck, shut the fuck up.
But yeah, that's.
But it all boils down to shut up, shut the fuck up, take a back seat, and let the people do what it is that you do. And what gets us in trouble, in my opinion, that's been my case, is we care too much.
Yes.
So, yes. And because of that could be a downfall where, well, no, Mr. Boss, so and so, I think you're wrong. I know you're wrong because X, Y, Z, and that's when shit gets gets awry, because. So you're gonna tell me what to do? I've been at this company for 30 goddamn years, right?
Right.
So it's a little different that in that environment, in the service. Hey, we can tough skin. Excuse me. And hey, man, fix yourself. You're hosed up. Blah blah blah. Whatever. But in the private sector, it's a lot different. I mean, Those people are in that company, and that's their climate. Yes. That's how they conduct themselves. So you gotta swallow that pill sometimes and just take a back seat. And for all intents and purposes, let motherfuckers fall on their sword.
Yes.
In the end, in the beginning when I first got out, that was rough, because I was in
because in the military, especially if you're out there in the battlefield, you almost can't let that happen, because there's so many other people's lives involved.
Right. People die.
Yeah, immediately. It's immediate effect.
Where in the private sector, operations drives the train.
Yes.
And we get it. I mean, well, that company doesn't get paid. People don't die, but
right.
but we still take it to that next level. So bottom line is that we just need some time, let those people do their thing, because in the end, hey, when it's your time to lead,
right,
then then you can make your decisions and be held accountable and such. So initially, like I said, that was a tough pill for me to swallow, and that would get me a little bit into trouble. Whereas even my boss, he was a military, great dude. As a matter of fact, I mean, shout out if Bill Marshall ever listens to the show. I mean, shout out to him. I mean, he would tell me, he's like, hey man, his uncle's in the Marine Corps, but he would tell me, hey man, just, and I wasn't all militant and stuff. He said, hey, you just sometimes you got to be able to roll with the punches and choose your battles.
Yes.
Just tone it down, blah blah. And looking back now, I was like, fuck, Bill was right. Yeah. I mean, I ended up moving on because it's part of growth. And I did learn, and so now I'm able to, I guess, pass on that information to those folks that sometimes we just have to take a back seat and worry about your own shit. Stay in your lane, that was
and the gravity of leadership. A lot of times, the real leaders don't necessarily look to jump out and want to lead, or when we were talking before the cast. All a leader is an expert follower. The gravity of leadership, the responsibility of the result. A real leader and a person that's led successfully and led and it's been detrimental to people. Detrimental to people. You don't necessarily just jump up and want that. When you take it on, you're consciously taking it on, realizing the gravity and the responsibility of it. A lot of people that jump up and want to lead are definitely not the ones that should do it, because it's not just the spot. It's just not the spot that you're dealing with. It's the responsibility of it, and most people don't look at it that way. They just look at the spot, likeship instead of leadership. They're looking at the glamour of it.
Yeah, I mean that could go either way. I mean, there's people that are ready, jump on the hot seat and make shit happen. Yes. Could there be those that, hey, they just won the title? Yes. I mean, definitely. Oh, hey, now I'm the big boss and I'm going to tell everybody what to do, and everybody can kiss my ass. No. I mean, it could go both ways. It's how it's how you see it, but nonetheless, you have to be able to sometimes take a back seat and just stick to your own lane. And I've learned to do that. I mean, even when I was in my previous project, and my buddy over there, he was in the Marine Corps with me, and he would just say, "Hey, dude, just let all that, let it go. I mean, it's not your problem. Just let it be. Stick, just worry about you and do your job. And believe me, everything else, that's gonna by you doing a good job, you're gonna highlight yourself." Everybody else is going to look like shit, because shit rises to the top,
right?
And then eventually people just fall on their own sword, and so now and you know what? The moment I've taken that approach, it's less stress for me, and it's not my problem. I'm not saying that fuck it, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
I don't care. It's just that, hey, that person over there, they'll be held accountable for that. I'm not to some degree, I'll help out. Hey, it's
going to do your part, right? You're going to make sure you do your part.
But I'm not going to carry their shit, their load constantly. It's like, no, I mean, they need to be held accountable, and not.
And that'll help them when you like you said, let them follow, because that's how we learn, is through experience, where it's good or bad. Sometimes the best leaders end up the ones that are gung ho at first, and then they take those bullets, because the leader always takes that first bullet. He's out front. He gets the first experience, whether it's right or wrong, he gets the first experience. And sometimes, we're meant to sit back and watch, because we don't have to take that bullet. We know that bullet is imminent if we do it that way, like that person or whatever's doing it. So we can learn from observation instead of integration, instead of actually, being that one.
Yeah, I mean, as a warrant officer in the Marine Corps, they call those subject matter expertise and experts, and I use that term very loosely because I mean, I worked with some dudes. I mean, they were just bag of shit. I mean, they were just a bag of assholes, all stuffed in 5 pound in a 5 pounds of that shit in a 4-pound bag. You know what I mean? So
you find that a lot in engineering offices, and it's a fraternity. And you get that.
Well, no, I mean,
you get that asshole.
Well, no, but the point I'm trying to make is that, we're advisors to, because a lieutenant, for all intents and purposes, even though we're commissioned as well, a lieutenant would outrank us any day. But we're, they would be told is, hey, if you see a warrant officer, a chief warrant officer, make sure you learn from them. Don't piss them off,
right?
Whatever. But I saw it as a mentoring piece. Hey, you know what? Because this kid, he may be a general later on down the road.
Right,
so even though I could put my foot in their ass, my buddy Scott Gilman, who was on the show not too long ago, he said, "Hey, he told me once, the ass you chew today might be the one you kiss tomorrow." So
that's good.
So I would train, mentor, and set these kids up for success. But now, if they would come in, well, I went to this, I went to so-and-so college and blah, blah, blah. I got a ring. You can kiss my ass. And I know, I'm like, oh, okay, good to go. Right. Guess what? You're going to fuck up. And when you do, you're going to fall on that sword and I'm going to let you fall on it hard. Right. Then we'll see. And, but that's what it is, man. But, Claudio, so are you on any type of social media, or are you just?
I got HGI.
Are you on MySpace or something?
See, he's trying to get my age now. See, we was all right till now. He had laid off me for about 30 minutes. Here we go. Now I'm HGI Twitter. I'm on Twitter.
God damn! Well, hey, you got one up on me because I'm not on that shit.
Okay, and that's really about it right now. I just, like I said, I just came out of the office. I just came out of the
I think you're gonna say closet there for us.
The where?
The closet.
The closet.
Man,
like, see, it's getting tough.
Hey, I accept you. Hey, by the way, the field ops accepts anybody.
But yeah, so that's about all. I'm on Twitter. You can check me on Twitter. But like I said, HGI Design 41 at Gmail is my email. I'm really kind of getting back into it. I met Pacho and I'm really enjoying it. Leadership. Yeah. Take it serious. Because likership will get you, make you a crash dummy. Yeah. Because it's lonely, and it is lonely at the top. Because a lot of times you have to make decisions that nobody likes, but it's the right one, and then they end up realizing it, but they usually don't ever tell you that it was. So it's a thankless job most of the time.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for your time.
Thanks,
Let me go. I'll say goodbye to the rest of my
Thank
viewers.
y'all. Enjoyed it.
Hit him up on TikTok. I mean, on Twitter. Shit. Well, everybody, that was our show for today. I just want to say that, hey, if you've been struggling with anxiety, depression due to PTSD or any type of trauma or anything else that that happened to you at any point in time, reach out. You can reach out to us in the field direct message. You can go ahead and call the VA, TRICARE. I mean, there's plenty of resources out there, but the bottom line is don't take that next step. Don't be one of the 22 part of that statistic that kills themselves because it's just way too much of a loss. So, but with that being said, I think we're going to end this right here, everybody. It was a good talk. Leadership versus likership. But with that being said, everybody, get some. Hoorah. I am out of here.